think I need to be on this side of you, Fabiana.
Rainey, your button says I make the good stuff sing. What's that all about?
Yeah, I take objects in museum collections and I do amazing things with them. And I want everybody else in our field to do that too. And so one of the roles I try to play in the field is to teach people how to do that.
We just spent a whole day with 25 individuals from upstate New York, the Adirondack region. Tell us a little bit more about what happened today and what you think would be useful for them to hear now that the whole day is over.
Yeah, so the participants just left, and here we are sitting here at the end of the workshop, and I'm just really struck by, again, this is not the first time it's happened to me, but every time it's so gratifying to watch people's spark turn back on inside them. Everybody's born creative. It's a human trait. It's, our birthright as members of the human family. And yet there are so many ways that our society shuts down creativity, devalues creativity. So it's actually really hard to survive into adulthood with your creativity intact in this country. And so it's really just lovely to see what happens when you have a chance to remind people that they can own their creativity, that it's there, and that it's kind of a muscle memory. It's not like you haven't done it before. You just kind of need to remember how to do it. And so, what I try to do in these workshops is just a lot of different ways of helping people remember how good it feels, remember why creativity matters, and turning that spark on. And I just love it when I can look across the room and watch, because you can see it. You can see it in people's faces. You can see it in their bodies when that spark goes back on. And it feeds people. I can see that happening. And then when it's happening to multiple people in the room, there's just this lovely energy. And I'm so excited for all of our participants today to take that back with them, take that spark with them back to their museums, spread it to other people on their team, and do amazing things with it. And it's so gratifying that I get to play a role in that. And my goal is that one by one, spark by spark, we relight the museum field. And how amazing is that going to be? So I'm coming for you.
Would you say that there is a hunger for this? Did you see a hunger for this type of?
Yeah, I think maybe people have forgotten how hungry they were for it, but that our brains and our bodies want to do this. We were born to be creative, and people just need some tools, and they need to understand how their brains work. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of neuroscience research on that. Mm-hmm. And then be unleashed. Mm-hmm. And so I think it feels really good. It's a remembering. You just have to remember how badly you want it.
Mm-hmm. What happens when the participants go back to their museums and they find that not everybody is willing or ready to remember, mm-hmm. and yet there they are? What do they do? What advice do you have for people who go back to their museums and are unable to, say, enact some of the ideas or put into practice some of the creative practices that you talked about today?
So I think one thing to remember is that, again, it's not anybody's fault that their spark got extinguished. They didn't ask for that. And so some compassion when you go back for those folks, and remembering they need to be fed too. They need their spark to be turned back on. So how can you help them do that? Not with the, be creative. I need you to be creative, but to the ways to help them with the tools you've learned about today. And so that's one thing. I think also there's a need for museums to build shared language around these issues, and I think that starts with the people who come back who've had an experience like this, or have read the Creativity in Museum Practice book, and can start to apply that in small ways and then let it build at their institution. And while they're doing so, to find the other people at their institution, to build a subculture of creativity in your institution. Maybe it's hard to persuade everybody on your team all at the same time, but if you can look for a few people who are ready to get their spark turned back on, and maybe the kindling's there and you just need the little flame, and build the shared language with those people, start doing creative experiments, and then bit by bit bring everybody else into that group, and then eventually the subculture becomes the culture. And I feel like I've seen that happen at museums that I've worked with, and it does take a little time, but it's about this idea of what gentle nudges do people need to reclaim that sense memory, to remember how to do it.
Fantastic. Anything else you'd like to share?
Everybody out there, whatever museum you're in, I believe in you. I'm rooting for you. We'll do this together.
All right. Thank you, Rainey.
Thank you.